we're so thrilled to have her here with our Riveter and to talk about their story and what they've been able to accomplish really in a short period of time, or what seems like a short period of time to me. But feel welcome, Cameron.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to stand down here if that's okay with you guys, because I feel like the podium is a little bit like an island. So Cortez asked me to talk at the Military Influencer and Blogging Conference, and I was like, heck yes. Of course I want to be in a room full of like military influencers and bloggers. Like, you guys are running the world right now, right? So that's not even a question. And it came out of my mouth and I was like, absolutely. And then the last couple of weeks I've been thinking, gosh, what's my message going to be? Like, I've told my story a couple times, but like, what do I have to say that's relevant to you guys? I mean, what can I bring that's something new and fresh and a different perspective? And so I was like, okay, the one thing that connects us all is we want to be successful, right? So we want to be the best versions of ourselves. We want to change the world in our own communities. We want to add to it. We want to make a difference. And so I thought, in that thing, that community where we're trying to make an impact, it's such a weighted word, right? So I built a whole business. Lisa and I built a whole business on the idea of community. And so, in case you don't know, our Riveter, we make bags to empower military spouses. Our entire story is empowering, connecting, and inspiring military spouses. And we do that by providing mobile, flexible income. So what that means is that every military spouse takes her job with her, making parts, no matter where the military relocates them as a spouse, his or her, no matter where they're going next, they can always plug right back into their job, right back into a second layer of community, and that is super, super important to us. So that's what we really wanted to focus on, and that's what we wanted to create. And if you would have told me like 10 years ago that this would be my life, that regular public speaking, manufacturing, leadership, anything to do with the military, I would have told you you're confused. Like, you don't know who you're talking to. This is not that's not me. And I can imagine that it's very similar to you guys. So how many bloggers do I have in the room? Who writes a blog, owns a blog, manages a blog? Okay, when you were growing up as a kid, is that what the first thing you're like, I want to manage and own a blog when I grow up, right? It's like something. Yes. But then how many of you guys said, I want to change the world when I grow up? Some version of that, right? Thank you. That's awesome. And so I feel like that's that common thread here in the military community. And I have just a short story about bricklayers. And I know that's kind of random, but you ask 3 bricklayers what they're doing. The first bricklayer says, well, that's easy. I'm laying bricks. The second bricklayer says, I'm building a church. You ask the third bricklayer, what are you doing? He says, I'm building the house of God. And so what you have is 3 versions of the story. So you have the first bricklayer who's just laying bricks. He has a job, right? You have the second bricklayer. He has a career. He has a career. He's building a church. And the third layer, he's building the house of God. He has a true calling. He's found a calling that he can sort of dive into. And so how do we do that, though? How do we go from job to career to calling? Maybe eventually one day we'll all find a calling. And I think it lies in this idea that any kind of interest or understanding of anything, when you practice it and you turn it into a purpose and you practice it constantly and you just dive your whole existence into it, can eventually lead to a calling. So how do we do that? I think in business we put a lot of stock in numbers. So I'm sure from you guys' perspective, like, it's all about the follow, it's all about the shares, the notifications, likes, numbers. So for us, it was all about gross revenue. How many, remote riveters can we add to our team? 10, 20, 50, 100, 200. That was really, when we started, that was something that was exciting to us. And it was this very broad idea of success. But what I'm realizing as we're starting to dig in and kind of find some success, very, very small little nuggets of it anyway for now, is that it's so much more than that. And the real success for our Riveter is going to come not 10s and 20s and 30 remote riveters at a time. It's going to come one person at a time. It's going to come one bag at a time. if I can have a quality, positive impact on one life and to its fullest extent, that is so much more powerful than kind of an unremarkable, almost positive experience for 10 people. So, like, for example, I think so many times we hear success stories in these super broad strokes, right? I don't know if it's because there's not enough time to tell you about all of the little details, or maybe we're too self-conscious or we have too much pride, but I really honestly believe that is where we make it. We make it in those little tiny details. We make it every day. We make it one person at a time. So like for instance, in 2012, I can tell you that we were making 5, maybe 10 bags a day. So, and that's if we had a lot of help, right? And then today we make 50, 60 bags, easy. That's an average day. And that sounds like success. That sounds like progress. That sounds like, we've kind of started to make it. But what it doesn't tell you is the grit every day when we come in and we hustle and we're trying to make this, manufacturing business model work. It doesn't tell you that team members aren't with us because we got burnt out. It doesn't tell you about the disappointed customer emails that we were so busy, trying to scale this manufacturing model that we forgot to put a strap in their bag. That it doesn't tell that, but it's really in those moments and the way that you fail and the way that you overcome failure, that is what made our team as strong as we are today. That's what's going to continue to set us up for so much success in the future. And what's funny about when Cortez came up to me earlier, he was like, listen, can you do your talk and can you do it in like maybe 20 minutes? And I was like, heck yes, brevity is everything. I'm right there with you. And so it's kind of a super short version because I also want to leave some time for Q&A because I think that there's so much to be had when you open up to the audience and we can actually have a conversation, not just listen to me ramble on. But, I think where I am now is the next 5 years of our Riveter. So how in a perfect world, with no gravity, what are my opportunities there? If there was no weight of constraint of the world on me, what does that look like? What is my purpose? What can I set my sights on? And that is so incredible and almost overwhelming. So really the question is, how can I fail next, right? So how can I fail harder next time? And so we start to think about our legacies and the positive impact on the community that we're trying to all leave, what they're going to say about us when we're not in the room, what they're going to say about us when we're long gone. And first of all, I want to say thank you guys for being here. So thank you for seeing, the title of the next door is very flashy. It's very relevant. I'm sure as far as influencers go, we all know how to get our shit together on social media. That would be incredible. But you guys care, so thank you for caring. Thank you for choosing this community. Thank you for, having the courage to fail and then fail harder next time. Thank you for supporting each other. I think that's super important. And so to close, I want to remind you guys all of one thing. I think that while the constraints of the world are all around us and they're very heavy and we get lost in those moments and we want to do those big brushstrokes, from 5 bags to 60 bags and just be done with it and think, all right, I made it. I want you guys to remember that your voice is so powerful. Your influence is so powerful, and you guys built that. And you guys built that not in just a, broad stroke. You built it one word at a time, right? One blog at a time, one person at a time. And so that's what I want you guys to remember is take it one step at a time, one person at a time, and then build your legacy. And that's all I have. And I would love to take questions. Yes. So, there's only a handful of us in here. I love it. Let's go. What do you guys want to ask? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, Allie. The dollar. So yes, it was a family member, and that's kind of how it starts, you know. So for us, it was very bootstrapping effort, right? We make 5 bags to make 10 bags, and 10 bags to make 20. It was very small and very organic and very controlled, and so it was an ant, you know, like this. Here's what we're doing. We're really excited about it. You know. And she actually came out of work because I'm not a salesperson. I hate selling. You know, I tell my story all day long, but I'm not going to try to, you know, hustle you a bag. But she immediately saw that it was something we were passionate about. It was something the world needed, and she said, "Yes, I'll take 5." And so it was like this incredible moment. And from then we just did, you know, these tiny little trade shows and craft booths, and just did everything that we could to share our story and sell the next bag. Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Next question? Yeah.
Mentioned what you saw for yourself. I'm just curious with the growth kind of pattern you see ahead. Do you want to sell a gazillion on Amazon? Do you just want another little store in another military town? Or
Yeah.
what do you see?
So when we really had to think about what is our mission, what is our purpose, and that's to empower, inspire, and connect military spouses. And so how do we do that? And ultimately, we have to get really, really good at making the bags that we're, you know, currently selling and manufacturing. And so, you know, we kind of are slowing down to speed up. And I've been saying that a lot lately, and it makes so much sense. But like, we have to be just like the guys next door at the Nat Geo. You know, you have to train. You have to be super, super good at the basics in order to accelerate and go fast. So really, for us, it's just this idea of how can we expand the mobile flexible income network that we are working with all of our military spouses. That's what we need. I mean, you know, as many bags as I can sell, I have 5 remote riveters a day that apply on the website. It's insane. So the world needs mobile flexible income for military spouses, and that's the next step. How do we capture that?
Do you ever see yourself, because I always hope to see one day at, you know, when you go to OPX or whatever, like you're going to sell a couple bags for a couple days. Does that ever cross your mind?
Yeah.
Because you're by Bragg and Pope, right?
We are at Bragg. So the question is, you know, do you ever see yourself in the PX? Just having a small pop-up. And we actually did a kiosk when we first moved to Bragg. We were trying to find our feet. And I mean, the short answer to that is we'll sell the bags anytime we can get a chance. But then you really have to hone your market, right? So know where your target market is, know where they shop, how do you convert them in their own space. And so we're going to go where the market leads us. Yes. We have male employees, so we have male military kids. We have a military. Actually, we do. We have an active. Well, I guess he's guard now. So he's he's our leather operator. So he does all the. I mean, of course it. But yeah, we have some hymns. I mean, it is very reflective of the actual population. So like 1% to 2%, but they're represented. They're there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So with the spouses doing this remote, how do you fit in your quality assurance checks on your bags?
Yes. So an interesting theory that I've heard, and again, like I said, if you ever would have told me I would be in manufacturing, I told you you were crazy. But in doing a lot of research, you know, there's this idea of zero quality control and quality control from the source. So everything that we've done, we've tried to make so that remote riveters can not only very easily and quickly pick this up, but be very proficient very quickly. So we've designed all of the bags to be able to be kind of up and running in 2 weeks or less. You know, with that being said, everything is very simple, everything is very straight-lined, and what we try to do is build in from the very beginning very easy, you know, quality controllable designs. But there's check stops along the way where we, you know, batch check all of our remote riveter incoming when it comes to the shop. And, you know, if we ever have anybody that's struggling, we try to work with them to get them back up to quality.
So they send them back to you before they go back?
Yeah, so basically, you know, a remote riveter will never have the full product at their house. So they're only making liners, or they're making canvas, or they're, you know, making the support tags or small leather pieces. So they're able to also specialize in the parts and pieces that they're making, and you know, they're never going to have to worry about going outside of their lane. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think there's enough really written about having a team of remote workers and maintaining the motivation. You talk about burnout, and it's one thing when you have But how do you, like, what do you focus on when you have remote workers and helping them sort of not only be a part of the team, but when those struggles happen, how do you as a team get through them when you're not all together?
So I think something that I mentioned yesterday when we're on the panel is that you don't, or it was a different panel maybe, but like we don't ever try to let it get to the point of the walls are burning, right? So anytime that we can check in, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the stay interview as opposed to like the exit interview. So what we try to do is always have that conversation going constantly. So I have these things called remote riveter roundups in small groups where I get on the phone with 5 to 6 remote riveters, once a month, and we talk about, are they having struggles? Are they having success? What was the first time they really felt like excited about their job? Are their husbands or their spouses on board? Because that's a big one. Making sure that everything is good. As a lot of military spouses know, it takes basically the entire household to be on board. So I have those conversations all the time, and then we do take time to celebrate the wins and just keep the door open. Because the worst thing that you can do is sort of isolate yourself and not be available, and be asking for progress reports all the time so that you know exactly what's happening. Yeah. More questions? Yeah.
Well, without revealing any confidential marketing plans.
Yeah.
So you say you're comfortable sharing it, where is the marketing taking it?
So the military supporter is huge, and a lot of times what that means is like, it's a $240 bag, so not everybody can just jump right out of the gate and buy a $240 bag. But in the case of Yeti, you might can't buy a $300 cooler, but you can buy a hat, right? So we deal a lot with the military supporter. So somebody who has and knows the trials of military community and the lifestyle, and maybe has graduated, they're a veteran, they're a parent of a military spouse. And so we just try to look at the community as a whole, who's supporting you as a military spouse in an ecosystem. From a military spouse perspective, I have an incredible ecosystem of people around me that are supporting me that don't live this life. So anything that they can do, to be there for me and my family. Like my mother-in-law basically just moved in so I could come here and be at every other conference. So it's those people that truly understand, and we're kind of, we're in that circle a lot.
So, in the building of the team of the remote riveters and things like that, I have a desire to use some of that mindset to
Yeah.
build virtual assistants, build people in different pods of specialties. What was the biggest challenge on getting the message out to them, and what was the biggest reward on getting feedback from them?
Like growing the entire remote riveter network. So that happens super organically. So the day that you make that platform, they will come. Because like I said, we actually probably on a daily basis get more remote riveter applications than we sell bags. It's phenomenal. So if you're providing that service, I promise you, the day that you say this is here and you share it on Facebook, they will come. And then the second part of your question was, remind me.
It was just the success and the
Oh yeah, no, and the successes come when somebody says, when I first saw my number in a bag on the shelf, or somebody was carrying a bag with my number, because they all are, they have every remote riveter ID in every part of the bag, so you can see that. So they get to say, they walk up to a bag and say, this is my bag, or I made this, or I know the girl that made this, or somebody that comes up to them and compliments their R Riveter bag, and they're like, well, I'm a remote riveter, and they get that instant gratification of being part of a community. And that's incredible. That's when somebody tells you for the first time they're excited to be a military spouse because they're a part of your team, that's why we get up in the morning. Yeah. Yeah.
You should talk to me because that's exactly what WISE does for a team of virtual assistants and staff members. And I can echo what Cameron says. We get over 100 applications a week to our site, 0 marketing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah.
And your issue is not people. Your issue is your hiring process and how do you have quality control in that. And I could talk to you about that for hours.
Yeah.
And the successes and failures there. But my question is for you, as a fellow CEO, co-founder. I know co-founder relationships are awesome, and mine is my rock and my support. But where else do you see kind of mentorship and leadership from as a female, as a business owner, as business owner, I feel like there's not a whole lot of those who have come before.
Right,
on
right.
immigration. So where do you go for that mentorship and leadership support for you?
So as a military spouse, there are so many parallels between what we're trying to build and the military. So I go straight to my husband. Like, and of course, he doesn't really like to talk about his job, so we talk about my job a lot. Yeah, so I go straight to my husband, and it's incredible. You know, we could never work together, but I get a lot of my influence from him as far as leadership and ideas for culture, and just making sure that that's important. You know, and then you're only as smart as the 5 people that you spend the most time with, right? So it is making sure that you get out of, you know, your office hole or the fab shop hole and go out into the world and find other strong female business owners. The Millspo Project is huge. I mean, yep, we met at Embark last year. So that's an incredible resource full of military spouse entrepreneurs. I mean, that is my tribe. Like, that's who I go to say, like, oh my God, how do I do sales tax in another state? You know, and those are the people that understand that. Yeah, exactly. So you just have to find your tribe, and then I think it happens very organically, and in the weirdest places. Like, you know, I think you always have to keep your eye open for those opportunities that are kind of popping up and seize them. Yeah,
Two sort of questions.
absolutely.
I saw on your website that you have kind of like now a marketplace for other
Yes.
military spouses doing things. Could you talk a little bit about that?
So yeah, the question is, I saw that you have a marketplace on your website for other military spouse and veteran-owned businesses. And basically what we realized, especially right after Shark Tank, when we were in this crazy whirlwind of activity and back order, like Eli was talking about yesterday, and we realized that not everybody wants to be a remote riveter. Like, everybody, you know, wants to be empowered, but maybe they already have, like, something that they're working on. And so what we could do to empower them the most was not try to transform them into who we were, but give them a voice, give them a platform. So we were getting thousands of people still on our website every day. Why not, like, open up the door? So we have a curated marketplace for military spouse and veteran-owned businesses where we sell, you know, what's funny is, and I think I told this story yesterday to a couple of you, but you know, one of our most powerful moments as a tiny, tiny partnership in small business was when we got our first wholesale order. So it wasn't like, yeah, we can try your stuff on consignment. You leave it in the store and we'll see how it does. You know, there's a lot of that in inventory and retail. So when we got our first legitimate wholesale order, like, okay, I'm ordering 50, here's half of the money, like right away, that was this incredible moment for me and Lisa. And so if we realized that if we could replicate that for other military spouses who have these budding brands and these businesses, like, that's so contagious and incredible that we knew that, you know, so I mean, you know, anytime anybody asks us for a deposit up front, like, maybe I need to get my materials because this is the largest wholesale order I've ever had. You know, a lot of people are going to say, well, that's really not how we do things. I don't know, that's not in our contract. We're going to say, yep, we totally get it. You know, like, here's a deposit. And so anything that we can do to help support others and kind of build others up, and in the language that we're all talking, you know, so I think that there's a lot of give and take that happens.
And the last question is, what I've been seeing it on your Instagram.
Yeah.
So that you have brand ambassadors.
Yes.
What do you look for in a brand ambassador?
I'm on the operations side, and Lisa take care of, they take care of sales and marketing, but I can tell you that it's a strong, empowered personality. So it's somebody, you don't have to have a ton of followers, you know, it's, actually, there's a couple in the room. You know, there's just an excitement about the brand of female empowerment that we're selling and the story that we're sharing. And if you share that with us, that's all we're looking for.
Do they have to be, because you said before about civilian, do they have to be military?
Absolutely not. It's a great mix. I mean, when you say that there's all kinds of people in the brand ambassadors. Yeah, military spouses, non-military spouses, business owners, non-business owners. Yeah, like I said, anybody that can sort of translate our version of female empowerment into their circles and kind of on their channels, that's what we're looking for. Yeah.
Time for one or two more.
Yes.
So you guys have like a really powerful mission, and you talk about this marketplace, this new thing that you're doing to empower others, and you always want to help others. The mission is very outward focused. balance of being able to do both?
So the question is, how do you handle a very positive, outward-facing, empowerment mission, but also at the same time being a for-profit company and trying to make money? And for us, it's always been, we're super transparent with our entire team. So, anything that we're making, anything that you're making, anything that I'm making, here's how we're going to grow together. Here's how we're going to donate this money back to our community in whatever form that is, whether it's an event where we empower military spouses like fashion shows, or we're donating a bunch of stuff to our local school teachers. It's all about including the entire team and kind of hearing their versions of that too, because, I think the whole team's input is really important. So the worst thing that you can do is just say, this is my company, this is my version of empowerment, this is how we're going to do it. You're not really a part of this, you're just going to help me execute. So I think that it's always being transparent in where the money is going, how we're spending it, how, all of our salaries are going to grow together, because at the end of the day, we're a tiny, tiny startup, in an infancy phase in the very large scheme of things. So it's the transparency of how are we going to do this and how we're going to do this together. I hope that answered your question. Yeah, okay. One more? We got one more? Yes.
I wonder, as you scaled up and have the spotlight turned to you, the processes that you started with when you were orders of 5 don't work anymore. What are some personal lessons learned that you've kind of, gotten along the way?
Yes. So I think one of the biggest things, especially as a doer and a go-getter, and somebody who from the beginning was like, I'm going to make bags, and I'm going to make every bag, and I'm going to pack it, and I'm going to ship it, and then I'm going to take pictures of it, and then I'm, like I was a doer for a long time. And so for me, it was learning how to not only delegate the doing, but also be a visionary alongside my team for transformation, because the worst thing that I can do is say, here's our goal, here's how we're going to get there. So for me, it was always, and I'm still learning this today, especially at a different scale, it's how do we sit down at the table and be patient with each other and give each other grace and know how to solve the problem together, and not me telling you how to solve the problem. That's a big lesson I think I'm learning every day more and more, is even though I want to have the answer and I want to have it right now and I want to do it, I need to back up and let my team speak to it also and be a part of the solution. Yeah, Emily, one more. We got it. Oh my gosh. Actually, a beautiful constraint. It's been incredible. Elizabeth Boardman from Millsbo Project recommended it, and actually I'm in chapter 3 on Audible on the plane here, and it's been fantastic. Yeah, beautiful constraint.
Elizabeth Boardman has amazing book recommendations. Yes. If you ever need them, there's a book club at the Millsbo Project, right. And she picks really good ones. She picked a book the other month that I was like, no way, this is not me, and it was amazing. So check out that book club. We'll plug the Millsbo Project. But thank you so much, Cameron. How awesome was this?
Thank you, guys. It was awesome.